This week's guest on the Fashion Feed podcast, I didn't even say hello. So this week's guest on the Fashion Feed podcast is blogger, podcast host and content creator Charlotte Jacklin. I started following Charlotte at the beginning of this year, and my friend Joanne noticed that she was speaking about starting a fashion brand on her stories. So I sent her a message to ask if she'd like to come along to our Building a Successful Fashion Brand workshop, which we were running that week, I think. And she came along, and it was so lovely of her to come down and join us for the workshop, which we touch upon in the episode actually. So for this episode, I drove up to Charlotte's house in Lincoln, and we recorded it on her Insta-famous vintage floral sofa from the British Heart Foundation. And it was a really sunny day, and we were just chatting for ages before we realised we should probably be recording this. So we pressed pause, moved into the living room and just started recording. And in the episode we cover loads. It's a bit of a long one, so you can get real stuck in with a tea and biscuit or something. And we talk about trusting your creative instinct as a freelancer, how Charlotte grew up in a fashion-inspired household with their family running their own fashion business, the best practices for brands to approach influencers and how to negotiate a deal that's beneficial to both of you, and also touch upon race and body inclusivity within the fashion industry and how to action it as a small business. So here it is. Cool. So, hi Charlotte.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me.
And we've been messaging a while because we met at the workshop in January,
Yes.
didn't we?
Yeah,
and
I
it was
loved
all
that workshop.
a bit of a fluke. We just saw online that you were interested in fashion. Should I start my own brand? And we were like, come to the workshop and find out.
It was so helpful. Just as a side note, which I'm sure you're not asking me to plug it, but if anybody is thinking about attending one of your workshops, or just go, because it was so helpful for me. Even though I've kind of not, which we'll talk about probably, not got that much further in terms of what that day was so helpful.
Good, I'm glad.
And
Thanks.
a very lovely
I'll pay you
workbook.
later.
yeah, as well. The graphic design was second
On
to
point.
none.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit. I'm sure a lot of people know who you are already, but if they don't, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Charlotte Jacklin. I am 33 years old. I don't know why I start with that. And we are sat here in my living room in Lincoln, which is where I live.
Comfy, flowery sofa.
Yeah, my £140 British Heart Foundation purchase. The 2 chairs on the buffet, which is actually in the garage, but it was a bargain. And I'm a blogger and I'm a podcast host with my friend Liv Purvis, and we host The Fringe of It. And my blog is charlottejacklin.co.uk, and my Instagram is Charlotte Jacklin, and on there I talk about fashion, lifestyle, a bit of travel, DIY, interiors. And previously to that, I had a magazine called Betty Magazine, which was an independent magazine. And I, alongside that, because that was never my full-time job, blogging and podcasting is my full-time job now. I always go about things in a roundabout way, sorry.
Me too.
And
this
then
probably takes about 2 hours.
Yeah. And you're like, right, okay, fine. Like, is she finished? She does yet? And then I worked as a fashion lecturer in fashion promotion at LCF and UCA in Rochester. And then previously to that, I did digital marketing, social media consultancy. And before that, I used to work in digital teams for brands like Paul Smith, Lulu Guinness, Topshop, Ben Sherman, working in their digital and social media teams.
Yeah. Wow.
So, me in a nutshell. I don't think you even asked for the history, you just got it.
No, I was going to. I was going to rewind even further. What did you want to be when you were growing up?
Oh my goodness. I don't even know if I knew what I wanted to be. Maybe my mum and dad, like if they came in here now, they were like, yeah, you always said this.
Yeah.
You always said that. Like I really wanted to be on stage.
Okay.
Like you can probably tell.
Which you're kind of doing with the podcast.
Yeah, kind of. I'm just going to put my water down. Yeah, I did a lot of dancing when I was growing up. So I did like dance 6-7 days a week. So I always maybe thought I would go into something like that. I think we got the brochure for Sylvia Young theatre school and then saw that like how much it was, but I like clutched that brochure so hard.
Sleeping a bit at night.
Yeah, I did. But then when I was 10, I had a brain tumour. It was benign, luckily, but that kind of like threw me off kilter.
Yeah.
So I never went back to dancing, which was probably like my biggest regret. Like now, if I see somebody dancing, I'm like, oh wow, that looks like Yeah. So that was
Strictly fan.
yeah. No.
Oh.
Weirdly,
Okay.
like I don't know what it is about Strictly.
Yeah.
But I've been to see, like, for example, I've been to see Chicago like 3 times and cried throughout the entire thing. I'm like so into tap dancing. But anyway, I'm really going off on one again.
So it wasn't basically anything to do with fashion, really.
Yeah. And then like once I was maybe, you know, had to make some decisions in terms of like GCSEs and stuff. I knew that I wanted to do something like creative, but back then it wasn't really supported. It was like, if you do creative, you do art.
Yeah.
But we kind of had this discussion off air that I couldn't draw. I hated drawing. I still hate drawing. I absolutely hate drawing. Like, if somebody invites me to a life drawing, I'm like, no. Like, I was on a hen do a couple of weeks ago. It was naked life drawing, and I just got anxiety. I was like, no. We had a really horrible art teacher at GCSE. It was awful. And then...
Are you a bit of a control freak?
Yes.
Me too. And I wonder whether you've got to be quite free to draw. And I'm like trying to make it really good.
Yeah. And also it's that practicing thing. Like, obviously you'll get better. But I don't know. Like, I feel like you have to have a natural flair for it. Like, I just... Yeah. There's probably a lot of psychological issues of why we hate drawing. So then, yeah, I just knew that I wanted to be creative, wanted to work in fashion, but I couldn't label it as I wanted to be creative. Like, I didn't know.
Yeah, I just the language to say.
Yeah, didn't have that language at all. So what did I do after that? Then I did A-levels, and then I got 2 Ds and an E. And if anybody's got my CV, I'm sorry, I lied. I do not have 3 A-levels as grades A to C. Like, I just feel like if you're going to introduce alcohol at the same time as your A-levels, like, what on earth? Like, it was the era of indie rock, and I was busy going to see, like, the Kings of Leon and Strokes, and, like, not interested in Sixth One whatsoever.
Yeah.
But then again, like, the progression from there was... So I kind of, by this point, knew I wanted to do fashion, but still had to do an art A-level, which I probably got a D. Like, I just copied and pasted, photocopied some, like, pages from Enemy and was like, yeah, it's art, man. I mean, it was just terrible.
Thank God there was no Instagram or Facebook of that time.
God. And then I had to go to art college to get into fashion, which just seems ridiculous. But then, again, on my CV, I've probably taken it off there now. But you know, when you didn't have that many jobs and you had to list everything that went before. But I quit art college like 2 months before we were due to hand it in because I just was so behind. And we had like a little photography section, but again, photography A-levels weren't really a thing.
No.
There was one place that did photography A-level. So I quit art college and I just knew that I wanted to work in fashion, but I just didn't know how to get there, and I couldn't. Yeah. And this art path that they kept making me go down, I was like, I can't draw, I hate it, like, stop it. Like, I just want to do fashion. So I took a couple of years out again, like, thank goodness, like, the indie disco was alive. Yeah. So just, like, going out, just working in my parents' shop. And then eventually I applied to go to fashion college. And again, I always talk about back then, but it was like 13, 14 years ago. You could either do fashion design, and there was maybe like 3 promotion courses in the country. So there was like maybe like Nottingham, Manchester,
Leeds maybe.
Yeah, Leeds, London, and then Rochester in Kent. I did not.
Okay.
Which is where I ended up. Yeah. And I remember when I got into halls and we were watching the weather on the telly, I was like, are we that far down? Like, where even am I?
Yeah.
But the course just sounded amazing. It was fashion promotion, so it was PR, journalism, and styling. It was just everything. Yeah, everything I needed, because I couldn't draw. I couldn't get onto the fashion design course. And then they also had like another course at their Ep8 campus, which was fashion promotion and illustration, but again, didn't want to draw.
Yeah. They
also told me I had no personality. And then
wow.
Like,
you don't know me at all.
Sorry, I might not have come across well on this interview. They did offer me a place, but I happily declined it.
Yeah.
So I got to fashion eventually, but I didn't start uni till I was 20.
Yeah.
Like, I think I had my 21st birthday my first year. So I was still, like, by the time lots of people were finishing uni, I'd just started.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that my parents kind of allowed me that time to figure it out. I think by the end, my dad did offer to pay my rent. Like, I don't know how he managed it. He was like, if you go to uni, I'll pay your rent. Like, to just shove me to do it, because I think
You come up with all the excuses.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm glad that he did that. And then I actually graduated with a first. Like, I was a nerd at uni. I loved it.
Yeah.
Like, I remember one of my first lessons, Tony Glenville, who went on to be I think he was the like creative director for LCF, London College of Fashion. Like, in my third year, he left to go and do that. He still goes to all the couture shows. Like, he's in his 70s. He lives half in Palma, half in Brighton. And he like sat down and was like, we did a pronunciation lesson of like all the brands. He was like,
wow,
which I still like butcher.
Yeah.
But he's like a Givenchy and like
he sounds fabulous.
Yeah, he was fabulous, and he'd just sit there and talk about him, and like Erin O'Connor would be like, me and Erin at like some fabulous party. And then I had like really awesome tutors like Lee Lapthorne, who started on off a doll. Who else? We had Piers Atkinson, who is a milliner as well. Well, who else did we have? We just had some really amazing tutors, and I was like, this is my place. Like, this, I found my people.
People say like find your tribe, and it sounds a bit wanky. Like, I don't know, it's like a Pinterest graphic or something.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't really know what it means, but when you find them, you're like, oh, that's what it means.
Yeah,
like,
when you find your people, you're like, I belong. Like, you don't feel like, it's just such a wonderful feeling. Like, everyone was just really eccentric. Like, I remember one of my friends, Daniel, like, he had the first day I met him, he just like dressed amazingly. He had like a crushed tin can that he used to wear around his neck. And there were like people, obviously,
they're expressing themselves.
Yeah, everyone was expressing themselves. It's interesting because what I thought by the time I went back to lecture was how the students changed. So like, we all turned up like misfits and like just a bunch of like everyone. I remember I used to wear like 2 pairs of false eyelashes and like peroxide blonde hair, and like it was a statement. Everyone like turned up to fashion college. Like, it
was like a catwalk.
Oh my god, it was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But then later on when I went back to lecture, like, you just saw the students and like how they all quite looked similar, and there wasn't that many people making statements, which I think is interesting when we look at like Instagram and things, and like how trends can become global quite quickly. But I just feel like, I don't know, everyone thinks that they were the last, but I feel like we were the last. People like Facebook was just coming around, and we were all there because we just had nowhere else to go. We were just like, we're fashion people, like, help. I just know that I just
belong here.
And it was, I really loved it.
I guess you were really lucky in the sense that your family supported you because they came from a fashion background as well, or they were in fashion, weren't they?
So my parents have worked in fashion retail my entire life. So my mum's been all kinds of things, like a dinner lady, a hairdresser. My dad was a bit of a like professional footballer for Grimsby Town. Like, I don't know how far he got, but it was like quite serious at one point, and then he became an engineer, and then apparently like, they've told me this, hopefully they won't mind me sharing it, but my dad got made redundant when mum was pregnant with me, so with his redundancy money they went to set up a menswear shop in Cleethorpes, which is where I'm from, just kind of selling. I never kind of really asked them why they went down that route, but like, they love fashion, and they just felt there was no way doing it at the time. So they did that for years, and then eventually that shop came and went, and so did another one, but they set up their shop that they have currently, which is 20 years that they've been doing it, and that's women's wear, kind of premium. I would probably say like their highest end brand is Paul Smith, Ted Baker. I don't even know what brands they've got in at the moment, but like kind of like,
I know what you mean, like top end high street,
like
luxury.
Yeah, absolutely. And then like what they're finding at the moment is like the smaller and niche the brand, the better for them. Yeah. But so they've worked in fashion for like 33 years, so it's always been quite normal in our house. And I was so lucky that they supported that. Again, we were kind of chatting off air, and now I've got the language to say that I wanted to be creative, but I didn't know at the time what it was. But so
they
many,
must have known.
And so many of my friends haven't gone down that creative path, and it is because of their parents.
Or like something someone said at school once.
And I can see like it's like a square peg and a round hole. Like, they're trying to be in like non-creative industries, and I'm like, just come over to the dark side.
Yes.
Like, you'll be so much more fulfilled.
My mum said something once that I've shared before on Instagram. It's almost like your body fills up with creativity, and if you don't turn the tap on to let it out, you feel suffocated.
Oh my! I literally know the feeling.
There's got to be, and that's why they call it like a creative outlet. It's like you've got to let it out, because otherwise you feel so frustrated.
Yes.
And I've tried to work in a non-creative environment
I've tried
before,
so many times.
and I felt suffocated, or like I was drowning, or I was like, I need to get something out. So I started like knitting in the evenings, or drawing, even though I can't draw, or like colouring in, just whatever it was. I was like, it's got to be something, to do outside of that.
I totally relate. So I started a magazine when I was at uni, and then I kind of put it to bed and went to work 9 to 5. It was still for a fashion brand, but like that description, like I can remember it so well, just sat at my desk just being like, oh, let me
out.
And then I'd started the magazine again, like, because I just needed to do, and I went home and did it in the evening, like you say. It's almost like, again, another chat we've had, and I've had it with my boyfriend, like, it just pours out of you, like you have to do something, whether it's even like, I don't know, gardening or cooking or just something, like you're just like, this thing, it is like an uncontrollable thing.
It is, and sometimes it doesn't come, and if you try and force it, that's even worse.
I hate those days.
You see those things that are like eyeliner, ponytails, like never force anything. And you were saying before as well, like you've always just let things come to you. And I don't know, I tell people like, just trust your gut, but I don't know what other people's gut feelings are telling them. Like I feel like I've got to strike quite a good one, and it's always led me in the right way. But if I tell people to trust their gut, are they going to get led the right way? I don't know.
I know, it's tricky, isn't it? Like I feel like I've been quite fortunate, and I've like followed the breadcrumbs, and now that I'm in my 30s, I think that helps as well, because you can see the bigger picture. You can, whereas I think like when I was newly graduated, I was like, I want to work for Chanel, and it's gonna be fabulous. And now, like, that ego, you kind of like have to like hammer your ego out a bit.
Totally.
And just, like, you need to just chill.
Yeah.
So I think it's all those things combined, but I've never really had to force anything. You know, I've definitely searched for things. Like, I've definitely been in positions where I haven't been doing the job that I want, or I haven't even got work, like when I was freelance. So in that situation, I'm not talking about like forcing things, as in like I haven't just been sat there unemployed, not working. You know, I've always been grateful and lucky enough that I have had work, but it's not necessarily been the work that fulfills you, but it's just kind of been quite waiting for those things to come to you, and I think that's what my younger self I would tell, is just like, it will happen. Like, definitely. Just don't force it, it will, but you know, try and tell.
But also it's not like waiting for it to come through your front door. It's like still being aware and open to opportunities, and telling people the kind of things you want to do, so rather than just keeping it all to yourself, because it's never going to come if it's in your head. Like, you've got to, I know I kind of hate this phrase, but like putting it out there, you've got to tell people, and I think you'll be surprised at how random the opportunities come through. There's like one girl who I'm working with, she's doing some writing for me. It's like my brother's girlfriend's flatmate at uni, because I said I need somebody to help me write, because I'm not very good at writing either.
Me neither.
I can talk for days, which is why I've got a podcast.
And I remember when I started like blogging alongside the magazine like years ago, and people were like, your grammar's not very good, and I'm like,
don't care.
Well, I did at the time. I got really upset. I was like, oh God, no, you're right, I know. Whereas now I'm like, don't care. I'm sorry,
I'll talk instead.
And I know people are really like hung up on grammar, but like, I talk like I write. I write like I talk. See? And that works really well, but I just think the world's changed a lot now.
Definitely.
That like people are accepting of people's quirks and strengths and weaknesses, but that kind of, like you say, loose connection. My employment rate of my friends is so high. Like, I haven't employed them personally, but I'll know somebody, and I'll always try, like a facilitator, I'll always try and
me too.
Get people those things. And stuff, if you don't say it out loud, like, how do you know that so and so needs a job, or or what?
And I'm really bad if somebody tells me something I'm desperate to do it. You know,
Yes.
like they said, oh, I'm looking for somebody to help me with gift boxes. I'm always like, this brand could be really great for your gift box, and I can't leave it.
Yes. Oh my God, we're so similar.
Yeah.
But you know, even if you're in a full-time job and you're thinking, I'd love to make this 4 days a week, or I'd love to go freelance, like unless you tell somebody, like you're not gonna necessarily get that first break, or like even it might take longer for some rather than others, but I'm a big fan of putting it out there.
Yeah. So if you've come this far and you've done all these jobs, what does your day-to-day kind of look like now?
It's kind of like organised chaos.
Okay.
Which I've learned to embrace in like the past year.
Yeah.
I don't think before I couldn't deal with it. I was so used to the 9 to 5 office environment, or let's be honest, 9 till 7. You know, going to work, sitting at your desk 5 days a week. And let's be honest, I did the work I needed to do, and like I think they say like the average office worker does like 3 hours productivity.
I can totally believe that.
I'm sure some office workers are sat there going, shut up, like I'm doing way more, but like, you know, I can work really effectively for like 3 hours intensely, like not even have a sip of water or go to the toilet, and that's my burst, and then, you know,
everything else kind of follows.
So my day-to-day at the moment, my boyfriend works away Monday to Friday, but that's not all year round, so kind of summer sometimes looks different to winter, because he works in film and TV, and summer's quite a busy period. But Monday, Tuesday, my daughter is in nursery, and Friday as well, so I love Monday and Tuesday for like my planning days. They're just like office days.
Like down.
And Tuesdays can sometimes be a shoot day with my neighbour Emily round the corner. On Fridays as well. I'd ideally like to work 4 days, but at the moment it's 3 days plus evenings, which kind of works out really well. But yeah, every kind of day is different. Before I used to be like, well, I just want to be like, you know, when people do those profiles with people in like Stylist or magazines, and you think, well, they get up at this time and they exercise at this time, and then they have their breakfast at this time. That is not my life.
I've written the number of times I've written on my to-do list, make a morning routine, and it just doesn't happen. Even if somebody said to me, what do you eat for breakfast, I wouldn't really know what to tell them.
Me neither.
I don't know. Like some days it's a biscuit, some days it's a yogurt. I don't know.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
But we're all kind of like really obsessed with this routine. And I understand, like, for some people, you know, they have their shifts or their days that they have to be in the office. But that's why I've always wanted to be freelance, because I just don't flourish well in those environments. So like some days I don't even get up at the same time every day.
No.
Like sometimes I'll be up before my daughter. Some days my daughter will wake me up going, "Mummy, mummy." She's got this like really funny like mummy scream, like it's so weird. And then some days I'll want to work out, and some days I'll just go straight to the office in my pajamas.
Yeah.
But like it's
taken me 4 o'clock.
Yeah, it's taken me years to embrace that, like actual years, because I was like, well, what about this 9 to 5 Monday to Friday? Like, what about that?
Have you read that Emma Gannon book?
Yes.
Yeah. She said it's from the 9 to 5 is from Victorian times. Why are we still clinging on to it? Doesn't make any sense.
Like I'm so much more productive. I'm doing so much more work.
Same.
But it's almost like to prove my worth to outsiders. Like, I'm doing the work. But what does it matter?
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, my day-to-day is quite chaotic. But then saying that, it's probably at the moment not that chaotic. Like I'll be in the house, or I'll be out shooting, or
because you work with a lot of brands, don't you?
Yeah.
And how does that sort of collaboration work? 'Cause I know a lot of brands will be listening, or start-up brands that want to work with somebody like you who's got a following, who could help them maybe push their brand a bit further out.
Yeah.
And I know you're a big supporter of independent brands.
Yeah.
For people that want to approach somebody, what advice would you give them?
I think firstly, approach them.
Yeah.
What we were saying.
Tell them.
You know, don't be too scared to reach out to the people that you want to. I think first and foremost, you know, if you're talking about working with influencers, not a massive fan of the word, but you know, that's what we'll call them. Find the right ones that work for you. Big numbers don't necessarily mean big return, and when I mean like return on investment, it's either like product or money. It doesn't necessarily, somebody with 100,000, 200, 300, 400,000 doesn't necessarily mean that that's the right person for you. So like really look at what your product is, who your customers are. Like it's almost like a triangle or Venn diagram would be more applicable, and then find the right people to work with, and then reach out and sorry, that's such a hard.
Touch base.
Yeah, then just touch base. But really think about how you're constructing that email. I think Instagram.
Would you say email over DM?
Yeah, I think DMs is good to like touch base.
Yeah, or just like get your name recognised so when you land in their inbox, it's not totally cold.
Yeah,
I think definitely. Seen that name somewhere.
But in terms of DMs, like it's kind of chaos in there. Like that's not a very well thought out inbox. I think if DMs could be on a laptop, which there are apps that you can do, but
it's just something you have to check.
Yeah, exactly. It? So I would definitely say like get friendly on their comments and their DMs, but not in a like the line. If somebody's not responding, just let it go. So like persistence does pay off, but at the same time, like just don't be weird about it. I don't know. It's just it's a really fine line. But I personally prefer email, but everyone's got their own preferences. Like every now and again, I just do like some housekeeping on my Instagram stories, and I just remind everyone to get in touch via email. So maybe like if it's a certain person you want to get in touch with, wait until they do like a Q&A
that's a good
situation, and then just say,
how do you like to be?
How do you like to be approached? Because it's kind of like dating, I imagine. I haven't been single for 10 years, but like some people like to be approached differently to others.
You're human at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. But for me, send an email, get my name right. It's always really helpful. And then just like don't waffle too much. And people used to tell us this at uni, and I'd be like, you are harsh. But like if you watch how I operate my inbox is a zero inbox policy. I've probably got 41 emails in there right now. And I will just delete. Like, so obviously I get quite a lot of sex spam. If anyone could help me with that would be appreciated. So like I'm deleting those really quickly. And then I'm probably deleting a lot of marketing newsletters. There's some that I love and will sit and read. And then I'm just kind of like skimming the first couple of lines. And I didn't believe that people read their inboxes that way. I thought that was harsh. But for me, it's true.
So even something like, if somebody knew you liked vintage florals, almost formatting their email to look pretty would catch your eye. Rather than like, hi, my name's this, like catch them straight away.
Like or just like something that I've mentioned on Instagram. Like I always find that's helpful. Someone's like, oh hi, I saw you were eating a cake.
Or like, I found it really funny when you said you dressed like a Victorian ghost child. And I just like, I noticed it, so I was like, I noticed it. That made me laugh.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just, and then kind of like get straight to the point. Be like, I'm Elizabeth. I have the Fashion Feed podcast. You can listen to it here. And then just say what you want. Like it's a business transaction at the end of the day. Like, and I think again, it's taken me a long time to get there, but you want something and I want something. Like how is it benefiting us both? It's either benefiting us both from a financial amount, so like you want to pay me but then you have control over the content, or if you feel like a gifting opportunity, that's going to benefit me because I love it, I want to show my audience, that just think about the mutual
rather than just I want you to do this for me.
Exactly. Like how is it working for me as well? So like this is my company, I really think that you would love this, like whatever it is. I'd love to send you some. It's tricky working between that gifted versus paid, but I like to do both. I kind of like to work
pay those bills.
I know. I'd love to sit there but I tend to work with like maybe the bigger brands on more of a payment
I think that's normal.
To support the kind of the smaller indie brands.
Because I heard brands before where they've approached an influencer and they've said, I do pay, it would cost you this much. But then somebody else said, well, if it was you would say, is there a money opportunity in it? Because you're human and you've got to pay the bills. But actually you could say, no, there's not. And then the next email will be like, this is the way it could work. So, some people do ask for money on the first time just to see if there is any.
Or
but
just
it doesn't mean that they only do paid work. They're just seeing if it's there.
And I think don't be scared of that like back and forth the negotiation sometimes. But I think you can put that initial email and say, as a small business, and I don't think having a small business means that you don't have budget, but like it you physically might not have it. So don't, as a small business, I would encourage people to have an influencer budget. But not just because I want to get paid, just because you can control the content more. Like, it again, it's mutually beneficial. Why can't I say that word? But just say, you know, on this occasion we don't have budget, but you know, would you be interested in me sending you this or inviting you here? You know, in return we'd love some social media coverage, but you can't guarantee that, you know, so it is always going to be a risk. And the other way that I kind of been doing things at the moment is a competition basis. So I've just done something with Anti-Po Dream. Oh no, Anti-Dream. Oh,
that brand. Well,
I knew I'd get it wrong. Anyway, and she, on a couple of occasions, her name's Kate. You know, we've worked on a gifting basis. So like, she sent me the most incredible bed sheets. Like, they're beautiful, and I would buy them. But I've like exchanged it for. She can repurpose my Instagram images. Like, obviously there'd be a limit to that. You know, I wouldn't want them on Times Square. But I'm like, yeah, it's fine. But some people, it is a bit tricky because some people are really not as easygoing as me on that, and I get it. That's fine. It's an individual thing.
But then I guess it's depend. Like, if you're quite an easygoing person, you want to work with those kind of people.
Yeah, like finding your people again.
That you'll go to somebody super strict if that's not the way you are.
Yeah. So we're like running a competition at the moment for a bath mat, a £75 bath mat. So, you know, I just know that my audience.
I think I've entered that.
Yeah, I just know that my audience will love it, and like that's the thing for me. Like, whilst I'm not there to serve my audience, as in, I don't know, it's, you know, they're not controlling the space. At the end of the day, they're the reason that I'm got the business that I've got, and I respect them and they respect me, and I really feel like I have a lovely community, so I want to give them something back. So I have another competition lined up with a printmaker, and I did one previously with Telegram, and I know that they'll get, like, from me, I know that I can get people anywhere between 100 to like 1,500 new followers. I think the competition that I've got at the moment, they've got 1,200 new followers from it. Yes, you'll see a drop-off rate probably when the competition closes, but hopefully
some will stick around.
Yeah, I think probably 70% will stick around, because what they're doing is really lovely. And the same for Telegram as well. Like, they probably got 2,000 new followers from that, and you just know that. I think the influencer kind of has a responsibility to. And I know a few people are like, we're clamping down on gifting. Like, I've never really been gifted loads and loads and loads of stuff, but I'm being really considered with what I am accepting. Like, I know that I need to wear it, or I know that it needs to have value to my followers, but I know not everyone's like that, so I guess it's tricky. But there are so many more influencers in your niche than I think.
Definitely, yeah.
That those bigger people that you might see all the time, that's not necessarily. It may be that one of those people is your perfect person, but, you know, have a look around at the smaller kind of niche influencers, I think.
Because I know, say, even when you mentioned me once on your feed, I can't even remember what it was now, but say that I got 40 new followers, but I've had somebody mention me before who's got like 3 times the amount. It was like over 200,000. I think I got 1 new follower.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's so not about the numbers.
Yeah, no,
like,
at
if
all.
you were going to take anything away from it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that we were talking about before is that the number of followers somebody has doesn't equate to how nice they are. You meet people in real life and you're like, oh my God, you're a really nice person. I didn't think you would be because you had how many thousand? I don't know.
Yeah.
They're just people.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's that whole Black Mirror episode, isn't there, about kind of like your social ranking.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was a couple of seasons ago before I went to Netflix. It's too dark for me now.
Yeah.
And it was all about your social ranking. It's like, doesn't make any difference how many followers you've got and I've got.
No.
Because
or how successful a brand is.
Yeah.
Like, there's brands out there that I know are making a really, really good living on less than 10,000 followers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, that was, people used to think that it was my full-time job when I had 50,000 followers.
Yeah.
It wasn't. And I've been at around like the early 70s for probably a year, and now it's my full-time job. But it's taken a long time to get there. But when I had 50,000 people like, yo, you must be like,
yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm struggling to make this work, and I had to kind of like change a few things. But yeah, number of followers doesn't
mean anything.
Yeah.
And I saw a brand.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, I saw a brand the other day that's got probably about 500,000 that's shutting down.
Yeah.
Because they're not making any money.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
just try not to get too hung up on it, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you have to respect social media. You know, I think too many people moan about social media, like, and I get it. Like, I think it was in the Fro, Katie Jane Hughes, just want to talk about Katie Jane Hughes, makeup artist, but she regrammed it, just saying like, it, does Instagram care about small businesses, because obviously they constantly want you to do paid promotions and things, and I get that side of it, but I also don't know if we should be complaining about it so much. Like, let's develop your email list, let's develop your blog content, let's do all these other things. At the end of the day, social media is a wonderful tool for listening to your audience, and I think that brand with 500,000 followers, I'd be interested to see how they interacted with their audience.
Definitely.
Were they answering questions? Were they listening to like feedback on DMs, replying to comments? Like, the brand that I used as an example with you, we had a great chat earlier, was Stalf, Stalf, and they're based in Lincolnshire, and Paris, the owner, manages their Instagram, and I know that she listened to feedback about, her earlier campaigns just having white models in, and she, she responded to that, and she actioned that, and I think she's done it in a really organic way, like, and then sizing and fabrics, and I just, I'd be really interested to see how that brand was using social media, because I think it's such a great tool.
And it's scary when people outsource it, we were saying, because you're pretty much just putting your fingers in your ears to what your audience is asking from you. Yeah. It's
and I kind of get it, because I've seen it from, like, my parents, for example, they've come from a place where it was just the shop that they had to manage, and just managing a shop and the buying and the staff, it's a lot. So I can see it.
You're adding a full-time job on top of a full-time job. Yeah,
definitely. So I can kind of see it from both points of view, but I think now if you have a business without social media that you're not running, or somebody like close within your staff's running, that is going to kind of provide that feedback, then
I saw somebody do something that was quite good, where it's like you outsource your feed, but then you're in charge of your stories. Because that's you're your brand, you're what, like, loads of people say, I want to start a brand but I don't know how to make it different, and it's you, that's the answer, pretty much, that's the only thing that's unique necessarily. So if you can at least do that, but outsource the rest, like, okay, that's not ideal, but it's something, just please stay there, like, be the face of your brand.
Listen to what people are saying.
And going back to Stalf, like, I know you talk about diversity quite a lot on your stories and stuff. Why is that? Like, why is that important to you?
Well, I think, like, it should be important to every single one of us. Like, I've had my eyes and ears opened, and it definitely was, like, my privilege that, I kind of sat in my little bubble for so many years, and then, through various things, like, it's led me to certain books, and then I just, like, had my eyes open, and I was like, this is insane. Like, the world we live in is ridiculous. Like, just down to being able to buy plasters in the right skin colour, or
shoes.
Like, obviously that's quite relevant with, like, Stormzy and Glastonbury and the Black Ballet dancers, and I used to call it nude coloured underwear. It's and I didn't even think it's skin coloured underwear for all different skin types, and it's still in 2018 that we're not seeing.
It's 19.
What month is it? July. I've missed half the year. And also I think sometimes not just race but size as well. Like, I was always a size 14-ish when I worked in the fashion industry, and I always felt like a bit out of place, because if a 14, like, I remember in one place I worked, I used to get my staff allowance and be like, I don't really know if this is going to fit. And 14, and then I had my daughter, and now I'm a 16, 18. And dressing is a problem. Like, it's not because I have the time and the resources to go and find stuff that fits me. So I guess, not that when it became a problem to me I started to notice it, but you almost do. But in terms of, like, diversity within campaigns, like, we need to be seeing, different skin tones, we need to be seeing different sizes, even, like, we don't see disabilities. Like, it's just, I just think that people are just cutting their nose off to spite their face. Like, people have money. Like, what do you think? Like, fat girls don't have money, or black women don't have money? Like, what?
Disabled people, poor, or whatever.
And obviously there is evidence for that with the way that the country's run. Like, a lot of those kind of people are on a kind of lower income level, but
So even it's like, if you put a disabled person in an advert, doesn't mean that a disabled person is going to buy from you because of that. Like somebody non-disabled might buy from you because of that, because that's what's important to them.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just don't know I do know who's running these like the bigger fashion brands, and it's
I did see River Island did a really cool advert recently, and I think like deodorant brands and underwear brands are kind of getting there.
Yeah.
And I always liken it to, I mean, we were born in the 80s. You kind of remember fair trade being bandied around then, and it's sort of 30 years later that it's probably becoming mainstream, and I feel like we're at that point now, and we're only at the beginning basically.
Yeah.
Nobody really knows what the right thing to do is, but I don't know, try and do something.
Yeah, I think like now, I guess if you were setting up a brand or any kind of small brands, it's like, right, how can we be inclusive? So think about the influencers that you're working with, think about the models, like, you know, there's really great model agencies out there. I think Nevs is a really great one. There's quite a few where you can, you know, before it used to just be these are the model agencies, and that used to kind of be quite a few people's excuse, but like one of the things we got taught at uni was like go and street cast, like that's what you know, Katie England, Katie Grand like did for like Alexander McQueen and stuff like that. They'd street cast. They'd literally like run someone
after
on the street,
people,
be like, oh my god,
and...
and you can do that, you know.
And I guess you'd be like, that's scary, but imagine making that person's day, being like, do you want to be a model for me? I don't know.
You know, they might just say no.
Yeah.
But, you know, at the end of the day, like, that's how you're going to get... If the system's not there, like, as I say, I do think the model agencies definitely, they have, like, you know, the special category, as in, like, that's where people above a size 8 are living.
Yeah.
But, you know, they have, like, different divisions within the model agency. But, you know, if the model agencies aren't providing with the models that you want, go and street cast.
Yeah.
Like, there is a salute, like, people always give excuses, oh, but I'm just a small business, oh, but that. But it's like, do you want inclusion or not? Like, you either do or you don't. And I think, you know, especially if you're white, you're cis, like, you have to, like, question yourself. If you're not doing it, why are you not doing it?
Yeah.
Did it make you feel uncomfortable? Like, when I started doing all this, it made me uncomfortable, but not compared to, like, what other people have
gone through.
Yeah, like, gone through. Like, just make yourself inclusive. And if you don't want to be inclusive, fine, but just go and live under a rock. Like, you know,
it's almost like when we're saying it is the start, you might as well start now, because if you're not going to, your brand might come into, I don't know, so I don't want to sound like a threat, that sounds awful, but
I think it is a threat, and it should be a threat. Like,
that's where it's going. And some people are like, I don't follow trends, I don't do this, but you've always got to be relevant. If you're not relevant, you're in trouble. And like House of Fraser, Debenhams, all these people are perfect examples of it. So
I just think
that's where things are going, so you might as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, but if people have to believe in it, and I guess if you're you know, I just don't think it's as hard to. There's a really great brand, they're called Isle of She. What were they called before? Woodland Gathering. You know, and they live in a remote island in Scotland, but they can manage to make their campaigns inclusive.
Yeah, that's
like,
a good example.
You just don't want to, I think, if you're not doing it. Like,
but I do think what you said is a good point. Is it's uncomfortable, fine. Yeah. Get over it and carry on.
There's a book called White Fragility. Read that, get over it, move on.
Like, okay.
Yeah,
we'll link to that.
Yeah, it's really great. Yeah. But you know, I live in Lincolnshire. It's a very white area. But if I was going to do a campaign, that like I would just find the people that I want to represent. Like, you would just. Yeah, I don't know. I find when people just go, well, but this, but that. There are small brands doing it. Like, just do it.
I think it's good that you're doing it as well, because I think some people might see it as a bit controversial, like a white girl's talking about colour diversity, and there's like Florence Given as well, who does an amazing job of it. So I think that it's good that you put yourself out there to start, and then other people will be like, okay, cool, we can.
Yeah, I guess, like, you know, I have to be careful, and I was kind of concerned about saying the wrong things to start with. Like, I didn't want to upset anybody, but you know, my silence is going to upset people more than not saying something. So if somebody pulls me up on something and says, oh, actually, maybe you shouldn't have.
Take it on the chin.
Yeah, because it's just like, cool, well, thanks for letting me know. I'll do better. Yeah, and that's taken me a while to kind of digest that and just kind of get a thicker skin. Cause like, what's interesting about the book is just as white people, we're not used to feeling uncomfortable.
Totally.
Like, you know, we have this like perfection syndrome. So then if somebody goes, oh, hang on, you shouldn't have done that. Like
who are you to tell me?
Yeah. Whereas actually that's our ego, and it's like, yeah, if I'm not saying anything, I just think that we all need to be just calling brands out and situations where we're like, you shouldn't have done that. And then what I think is great about Instagram, whilst sometimes people might think that's a hostile environment, and I don't think it is. People just want equality and inclusion. Is that you can listen and you can make changes. You know, if you're using cultural appropriation, people are like, actually that's a bit offensive to me. Cool, just listen, move on. Just say sorry.
And admit when you're wrong.
Yeah, they're not like trying to take you down, you know. And I guess like tone on the internet doesn't always come across wrong. So I don't know, it's a complex one. Like, you don't want to tone police people, but at the same time, you know, they're not trying to. Pardon?
You could send a voice note.
Yeah, they're not trying to like take your business down. Well, unless you're repeatedly doing something stupid, like some brands are. You know, they're just wanting a fairer place, like a fairer world. Just like listen and move on.
Yeah.
But I think obviously sometimes on like email and stuff, some stuff doesn't always come across well. But I think what if you were in the room with those people, like you would listen, you would.
Yeah. I
don't know, you would do something about it. So it's something I think we all need to be aware of.
Definitely, yeah. So. Where is it that you're kind of heading from here? What's on the plans? What's in your diary?
Well, I'm doing quite a lot of like interesting brand work at the moment, like creative projects, which I'm really enjoying. So rather than like maybe a brand getting in touch with me, like we have this product, just shoot some pictures, send it back. It's like, well, we want to promote this. These are our goals, and then I get to like go away and like do something really creative,
more collaborative.
Yeah. So for example, I'm just about to maybe by the time the podcast comes out, it'll be done. I've just done something with Masons Demond, who I think are a really awesome like interiors brand. Them. Yeah, and they're kind of like off. They're not, because they're massive.
I know what you mean. Like a lot of people still don't.
Yeah, but their stuff's incredible. So I'm doing a garden project with them. And obviously I could have just like got the product, stuck it on my grass, taken a picture, but I was like, we're not doing that. And I was like, how can I make my garden look more like it's in California?
Okay.
I've never been to California.
No.
Just from like my Pinterest dream. So I've built like a decking platform, like painted it white, and it's removable because I live in a rented house. So I've done it with my dad, and we haven't sunk the beams into the floor, like we've done it so you can like pack it all up basically. Obviously you'd have to unscrew it all like when we move. So I proposed them like, this is what I want to do, here's my mood board, this is where I want to go, like, and then on another slide like picked out all the products of how it would all look, so they could like really visualize it, whereas but before I would never really have had the confidence to be like, okay, this is what I want to do, this is how it's going to look, like this is why I think it would work for us both.
And it's so much more genuine then.
Yeah.
Like, I actually built this. I'm really proud of myself. And they
like,
have to do it.
Literally, I was sat in the swinging chair, like smug as you like on something. Like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like me and my dad, like really pleased with ourselves. So that's what I'm looking forward to doing a lot more of. You know, every brand that I'm working with at the moment. Like I just did something with Nails Inc, which you can see on here.
That's so cute.
But you know,
for anyone listening, they're kind of like half bright and half pastel. And all spotty.
Like so for example, I could have just shot the nail polishes, whereas I was like, right, how can I do nail art at home? Because people are used to seeing nail art that I get done in the salon. Like if you just buy this cheap nail dabber from eBay, you can get this look. So I'm just trying to think about how I can again offer my audience more useful information while partnering
like an
with
insight
brands.
into the process of stuff.
Yeah. So that's really fun. And then I have my Monday Motivator email, which I really love doing. Again, just kind of, I guess because I had the magazine for years and years, I guess the influencer stuff that I've been doing it for like maybe a year and a half, but I'm constantly like stopping and reevaluating it.
That's good.
And thinking, what is my purpose? you know. So I do go back to the magazine a lot, and I'm like, well, I love doing this about the magazine. I love doing that. You know, what am I offering people?
You're a content creator.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, you know, Jack tells people, my boyfriend, what he does at work, and they're like, oh, she's an influencer. What, like all like diet teas and stuff? And he's like,
oh no.
But that, you know, that's why I don't love
think.
the word influencer, because I think it just puts everyone under the same category. Whereas I definitely say I'm a content creator. So I go back, and the whole point of the magazine was to give people a little slice of joy, and that's what I try to do with like my Monday Motivator email, or when I work with brands, or the blog content. So that's kind of what I'm doing at the moment. And as I say, because I'm not working full time, like it's more like 4 days and evenings, and to be fair, it probably is when you add up all the phone.
Yeah, it's probably
like,
more than that.
Yeah, because you can just do everything on your phone as well. So I'm like constantly like tapping away. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, but I definitely want to kind of like progress into something in the future, but I'm still like unsure as to what that is. Like half of me would love to have a fashion brand just to solve a lot of the problems that I see repeatedly done by so many high street brands, but then half of me is like, that looks like a lot of work. Even though, you know, I went to your workshop and that really filled in a lot of pieces of the jigsaw puzzle for me, but I'm still kind of like, is that what I want to do? So I'm just just waiting for it to come to me in a way, but not you know, being open to opportunities, but also just kind of waiting until something feels right.
Trusting that gut.
So I'm kind of just quite happy like pushing myself with creative projects at the moment. So any project I get in, I'm like, obviously once I've agreed to work with a brand, I'm like, right, how can I make this
really good?
Really creative, really fun. So I feel like that's something new for me at the moment, because before I wouldn't have really, as I say, had the confidence to go back to a brand and go, I don't think we should do it like this. Like, can I put together a proposal and show you how I think it would work really well?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited to see what's coming.
I've got some good projects coming out. So I'm excited.
So everyone can keep their eyes peeled. And you've given some like really good recommendations as well. So I'm going to go back through it all and link to those as well, so you can find out more.
Yeah, so much rambling going on.
No, it's good.
But,
well, thank you.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll have a little drink now.
Definitely. Well, we'll do some I call it cordial. What do you call it?
Squash.
Squash. Yeah. Everyone thinks it's weird because I call it by its official name.
Well, you are a Victorian ghost.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why. Cool. Well, thank you. I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks for listening. I had to edit out so much of my screeching laugh as we had such a fun time, and it was a really painful editing process for that episode. So Charlotte had some amazing small business recommendations, so everything we discussed is in the show notes for you to explore. And if you'd like to come along to the workshop that Charlotte attended, then I've also included the link for you to have a look at. I'd love to see you listening in on Instagram, so just screenshot your phone and tag me on your stories at Elizabeth Styles UK and Charlotte at Charlotte Jacklin to help spread the word about the podcast. Thanks again for listening, and I hope you join me for the next episode.